These are some slides I put together, but I'll also be screen sharing as well with different examples, different branding, and the materials, of course. Our course is called Sustainable Business Practices. I'll give you an overview and a peek inside the course and some other tips in there. We'll talk about sustainability, what we mean by that, deep dive into key course modules, some of the key points in the main modules, and then tips plus. I'll give you a look at the early bird deal because there's a bonus there that you're going to want to get. It's only available for the first few days. Title of the course, Sustainable Business Practices, How to Build a Profitable, Eco-Friendly, Socially Responsible Brand. There are several different aspects in there, and I'll show you what each one of those are that go into putting together a sustainability plan for any business. This is designed to help small business owners implement sustainable practices. And when we talk about sustainability, it involves being environmentally responsible, socially equitable, and economically viable. So there are different aspects to it. Some of these aspects are being required by law. Mainly that's with big corporations right now, but smaller ones as well need to be aware of it because it's evolving and it's going to become more and more important. And when you are a more eco-friendly, sustainable business, it does attract different types of customers as well and enhances brand reputation and helps you be more competitive. But at the same time, it's not just about your reputation and customers, but you can save money through energy efficiency, waste reduction, and even some financial incentives depending on where you're located, whether it's the US, Europe, other countries, your local area. There are lots of different incentives, and those are changing all the time too. And you get a competitive edge over those less eco-friendly brands because that's becoming more and more important to consumers. So the learning objectives in this course are the small business owners will pinpoint their current sustainability status, identify areas for improvement, look at the environmental impact, and set some aims and goals for reducing the impact, balance costs and savings for profitability because there are some costs up front with some sustainability efforts, but that doesn't mean that it is a solid cost because you just have to balance and cost it out what the profit side is. And it's not just about balancing costs. There are also those economic benefits like attracting other customers or opportunities for other products. So there's the balancing the costs and savings, improving social responsibility, community involvement. Social responsibility is something that's tied to the environmental side, even though there's some other aspects to it, like fair employment. When you're looking for financial incentives, often social responsibility is looked at as well. And of course, there's the brand reputation. And then finally, they will create a practical action plan to become a more sustainable business. Those are the learning objectives, what people will get out of the course. Let's take a look at the key modules in the course, starting with module 1. Now, I want to hop over to the slide that you will get with a license. When you get a license, you get student materials, instructor materials, and lead generation materials, the lead gen to build an audience of students who want to enroll in the course. The student materials have that course book, an outline cheat sheet, and an action guide with some worksheets. But let's hop into the instructor materials. And the main thing there is the slideshow, which is what I want to open up now so that I can show you the key points from the modules that you'll cover. You can see here, there's your usual brandable content, lots of places that you can add your own design. And if we skip through the introduction, I told you what this is about. I'm just going to go into module 1. So module 1 is just about how sustainable your business is right now. It'll go through the benefits, which I talked about a little bit, building a reputation, a brand image, saving money, competition, attracting potential subsidies. Now, normally when you hear about sustainability, you'll hear about SG, which is environmental, social, and governance. Those are typically attached to larger corporations. For smaller business, they can look at environmental, economic, and social primarily. There will be some legal stuff that small businesses need to stay on top of. So they need to get informed, stay on top of all the data, look at different information sources, When you're teaching this, it's going to vary. If you're teaching to a specific location, that's something you can research a little bit in advance to give guidance to. Otherwise, students need to do some of their own research. Different businesses are going to have different challenges. And we put some different examples in here, like restaurants with food waste and excessive water usage, high energy consumption, health and beauty spas, event planning companies have things like excessive paper use and food waste, printing shops, cleaning services, car washes. Depending on what type of industry your target audience is in, you would want to change some of these to be relevant to them. And then they need to conduct a sustainability audit, looking at their current situation. So walking around, looking at their budget, prioritizing, and then in the actual action steps for that module one, they complete a sustainability self-assessment. And I'll open that up for you so you can see what I mean. So opening up that folder, if I go into the student materials and into the action guide folder, there's a main action guide, and then there's this self-assessment. It's one of the first things that your students will do in the course. So they have different things they look at walking around their business, or if it's a virtual business, same idea, or in their home office, you could apply the same concepts, looking at things like lighting and electricity, heating, water, waste management, building fabric, various things. They can go through on these very quick items and check off what they're good at, what needs improvement. And then when they go back to the action guide, that's where they'll do that first self assessment. So the action guide has different things throughout that go along with the worksheet. They write down their reasons and they can start doing some quick wins, dealing with some tasks right away. So even at the very first module of the course, they're going to be able to do some quick wins based on that self-assessment. And then we go into module two, going back to our slideshow, which is improving your business's environmental. Remember, we talked about the three things for small companies. There's environmental impact, there's economic, and there's social. That first thing is the environmental impact. And there are three lessons in here: energy consumption, waste management, and sourcing. So don't think right away that this is offline businesses only, because any online business is going to have some of the same issues for sustainability. And that first lesson is about the energy consumption, looking at your carbon footprint. There are online calculators. There's also household, not just a business location. So if you have a home office, there are global calculators for doing that. You're going to direct people to those. And then there's, again, ideas for different ways that you can save on this impact on the energy side. And then they set an aim, a goal. They do some calculations, pick out three measures that they can introduce immediately. These are things that will go into their action plan at the end, their sustainability plan. Lesson two, waste management. Same concept. There's ways to prevent waste, water use. It has the recognized ways to manage with avoiding final disposal, things like that. Paper, recycling, water, eco-friendly packaging, if that's something that's involved. And then ways to actually apply that to your business, an aim and a goal. And then again, they take action steps right away, pick three things they can do right away, quick wins. You always want to be aiming for some quick wins. And then that third part is sourcing. So if your audience has packaging, for instance, where they could be using more sustainable sourcing and materials, looking at their supply chain, this is something that is primarily going to work for people with a physical product. That's something that if you're mainly working with people that have online businesses, it's not as important. But even then, your office supplies, if you have a home office, you could be sourcing those sustainably as well. Again, don't just think of this as an online business. And there are various points in there, setting your aims and goals. And this time they're looking at potential solutions where they might have some difficulties and potential solutions to that for their supply chain. Module for the economic part. We talked about the environmental impact. Now it's the economic benefits. So environmental, economic, social. On the economic side, you want to look at improvements and innovations you can do, and then the financial implications. When you talk about improvements and innovations, that's saving money initially, using less energy, creating less waste, putting that at the heart of your business. And there are a bunch of examples in here that, again, you can alter based on who your industry is, who your target audience is. So there's examples, for instance, real estate, highlighting the energy efficient and sustainable built property. So that's way to build it in as well, the economic side. You're going to attract more customers who are interested in that, value that. That boosts the economic side, boosting your profit. Hair salons, landscaping, different ways that you can apply the economic principles of sustainability. Coffee shop, fitness center, tech companies have a mix of both types. If you have kind of a general audience, have a mix of different examples. We put ones in for different types. You would again adjust those if you need to. And then there are improvements you can put in, rethinking even product and service design to make it more sustainable and eco-friendly. A lot of businesses do this now. They'll introduce something that is more eco-conscious or eco-friendly. And that can be even a whole product line that adds to your bottom line. There's examples here as well, like architecture firm, traditional design that prioritizes sustainability, green architecture. There are different things you can change in your whole business. Also, seeking a third party verification or certification can be really helpful, because if there are consumers, potential customers who value that, when they see that stamp, it's just one more thing that makes them want to do business with you versus another company that doesn't have that. There's some examples in there. If you're working with a certain location, provide that information, because there is an assessment process. And then you'll have your students brainstorm ideas for different offers they can do, find out what's involved, and then move on to lesson 2, which is the financial implications. So being profitable and sustainable at the same time, making sure, because you always want to balance the two, not just make it something that's cost heavy. That's something you will go through, what the different costs are that might be involved, like purchase, installation, but then there's also savings, maintenance costs, and then there might be financial incentives for, depending on what location you're in, and there can be increased revenue from other products that you put in or more customers. That's something you need to cost out. And there are examples in here as well, and ideas for funding sources you might be able to do, data. There is an extra worksheet in here, which I'll open up as well. That's the costs worksheet. And that helps people figure out what their costs would be, different types of offers, benefits, so they can figure out what they might want to do on that front. And then let's go back here to the next module, social responsibility. 2 lessons in here. We've got engage with others sustainably and your sustainable brand reputations. Those are 2 aspects of the social side. The first one, engaging with others. This is about your community in particular, and also your employees. There's a concept of fair treatment. So you might not think immediately that this is about sustainability. This is actually a module or a lesson you could pull out on its own if it's something that you want to address with your audience in terms of employees and fair treatment. But it is tied to sustainability as a whole when it comes to brand reputation. People look at both often together. So it's about fair treatment of employees, which also makes a brand more attractive to consumers. And there's a number of things in here, what that means: paying fair wages, safe and healthy working conditions, diversity. This is not a course on diversity. It's one of the aspects of fair treatment and the social responsibility side of things. Opportunities for professional development, flexible work, those are all important things for fair employment, fair treatment. And there are various things you can do on that front and ideas on that. And it starts with your suppliers, your team. There's a fair employment checklist. That's another worksheet that you can give out to help people make sure that they're having fair employment. And as it mentions here in one point, for sustainability financing, if it's something that your students are looking for, you're going to be asked, they will be asked about social responsibilities. It helps to be prepared. And then there's community involvement as well, getting involved locally. If it's a digital business, global causes, raising money and crowdfunding, there are different ideas for that as well. And then they need to set an aim and a goal and complete that fair employment checklist. Now, if you have an audience who doesn't have any employees at all, that's not necessarily going to be applicable, but they can have it prepared because most people should be aiming for hiring and building a team if they're trying to grow their business. And it still helps to have ways to get involved in the community. And then the other part of social responsibility is your brand reputation. You want to be known as an eco conscious, socially responsible brand. That's what's going to attract a certain segment of customers. And there's a section on this on how to actually establish that, how to make your business stand out. What are some of the ethical practices there? Because there's a term called greenwashing, which is where companies say that they're eco friendly, but they're not actually. If you go back to that whole concept of know, like, and trust, this is part of the trust factor. And just being eco friendly in general is part of the liking factor. There are things you can do there, making sure you're always honest. There's examples in there. For instance, this product is made from 100% renewable energy. Well, if you're not actually doing it that precisely and can measure it, then you're greenwashing. So don't give a percentage that is actually measurable, like 50% recycled materials. Tell the truth. And there are promotion tactics for letting people know about your story and how sustainable you are. Explain your beliefs in it, focus on the environmental benefits of your offer, use visuals, leverage different channels. This is all about spreading that brand reputation. And a lot of that is the same as any type of establishing a brand reputation. You can use your social media for that and tell the story of your values around eco friendliness and sustainability, how you got there, what's the journey, and create an emotional connection. Those are some action steps there that they'll do is picking 3 tactics to build a socially conscious brand. And they could even outline a blog post that talks about the journey or the aims. And then finally, the main finishing up module is about eco-conscious sustainability plan, actually building a plan. They'll measure results, establish what measurements, and then build that plan. There's examples in here of different types of metrics that they can use: cost savings, sales figures, repeat purchases, customer lifetime value, ROI. There's social metrics around customer perception, engagement rates, all the usual stuff, and then monitoring it. So they need to pick those and then they actually build their plan, which you want to keep pretty simple. Have them start gradually incorporate some different practices. They'll be doing some right from the start. There are always things that a business can do, whether it's offline or online with a home office or some other location where you're working from, where you can put in some sustainability measures right away. And remember, these are all things that are evolving, but are also critical for every single business as they're growing and as time goes on. So they'll put together that we do provide a spreadsheet for that and examples, but some people will want to just put that into their project management tool. And then there's a final module on next steps, anticipating future trends and things like that. So that's the slideshow with the core materials. You could deliver a course right there, a minimum viable course with just that slideshow and then the action guide and worksheets. Plus, you might want to add in cheat sheet that has the outline of the key points from the course book. That cheat sheet I'll open up here. And that you can see is just bullet points, but it covers each one of the modules. So a minimum viable course can just be the slides with the action data. You can just customize this a bit, rebrand it, and make them into separate PDFs, one for each of the different modules and lessons, or even just one in general so that people have that as their cheat sheet to go through. Those are, as I said, the core materials. And if you want to expand it even more, you have that course book, which is the full explanation of everything. All the text that you would use as your speaking notes for the slides when you record video are here in the course book, written out in a way that students can use and look at and refer to. So you'll see it's much more text heavy, but it has everything from those slides. And we use that text to put in as speaking notes in the slides. If I go back to the slides, you'll see underneath them are speaking notes. And those are things you can use as the guidance for script for doing course videos. And I have a bunch of different tutorials on our site, even one blog post alone that talks about how you can record your videos for your course. So I'm not going to go into that here. And we have various things for rebranding too, though I'll show you a few tips now. So that was the course book. Those are the main student materials. I showed you the action guide, the cheat sheet, the course book. There's some other graphics. The main thing in the instructor materials I just showed you was the slideshow. There are some other things as well in here, and it's all listed on the sales page. And then the other thing is the lead generation materials for building an audience for your course. Let me open that so you can see those as well. And then I'll show you the rebranding tips. When you want to sell your course, the best thing to do is build an audience, build your list, and give you those materials to get you started on that. So the assessment comes in Word document and a Canva template. Let me open up the Word document so you can see what it is. This is a sustainability assessment. It's different from the self-assessment in the course, which is more about walking around, looking at your business and quick actions you can take. This is a full assessment based on those 3 areas in the course: the environmental, economic, and social responsibilities. There's a section just on awareness around sustainability, and some scoring for that. And then there's the 3 sections of practices: environmental, sustainability practices, and they just have yes, no, economic, social, and then there's a scoring key again at the end. This gives people an idea of where they stand now and where they can improve. And then you send some follow-up emails to nurture that relationship and promote your course. You don't have to promote the course right away. You can just continue sending some nurture emails and other information and then promote the course when you're ready and when you feel you have a good relationship with your audience, because that's what's going to make selling your course really easy. Just having that list, having that audience of people who already trust you and already or a little bit knowledgeable about sustainability. So you have that assessment as your lead magnet. It is in Canva as well. And that's just already branded in a way that you can quickly make look good. So I'll open that up. There's a PDF with a link to it. You would just say, use the template for a new design. It'll open up in Canva. And this is the way it works with all our things that are Canva template. And then you can just play around with colors and logos. You get rid of the first page, add any other elements you might want. There's a whole menu on the left. And then you would share it. I'm looking over at my other monitor, download it as a PDF, and then you can actually send it to people. You just never want to send them the editable documents. That's part of the rules for any private label rights products, any of our courses or other content. Never send the editable materials. So you have that as your lead magnet. And then the other things in that lead generation folder are things that will help you nurture the relationship and even attract people to your lead magnets. There are some follow-up emails in there that you would just adjust to your voice, queue them up in your autoresponder. So you set up an opt-in page, you send them the lead magnet, you send them follow-up emails. And that's all step by step. Again, we've got tutorials on the blog that you can look how to set up a lead magnet. And there are also some blog posts. I think there are 5 in there, different ones related. Those you can actually publish right on your blog or use in other ways, like for email content, for creating a longer series. You'll get some ideas from that. And there are also some social media posts. These are a series of tips. So those are great on images. We've even put them on images for you, but you can use them as idea starters or for instance, for email idea starters, or even if you're using an AI tool like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Perplexity, you can use them as starting points for a blog post or an email. And of course, you'll need to edit it because it never sounds like you when it comes out, no matter how much guidance you give it. Those are all the things except for one last one, which is sales page copy. We do give you a starting point for a sales page for selling your course. And that also starting point, you edit it to sound like you, to change, to make for however you customize the course, for instance, with a different audience. And there are different highlighted places where you can put in your own story and your own bullet points and then use your preferred template for how you like to sell your courses. If you don't have one already, set one up, use a landing page builder. I use Thrive Architect. Elementor is very good. There are lots of different ones. I use Lead Pages as well. And then once you have one set up that you like the look of, you can use it over and over again for other courses like we do on Content Sparks. You'll see our sales pages all have the same sort of flow. And that way, your potential customers get used to that flow when you're selling multiple things. So that's a sales page copy. Before I go into some customizing and rebranding tips, I'll just show you quickly the things that show up, the add-ons that show up on a suggested add-ons page after you add the course to your cart. One of those is module quizzes. We've broken these up into two separate packages that you can buy if you want. Module quizzes are just set up already so that there are questions and multiple choice answers for each one of the modules and the correct answers already in there. You can set that up on any course platform, New Zenler, Teachable, Thinkific, Podia, LearnWorlds, any of those have a built-in feature to add quizzes. And we've given you these and you can just, again, customize them if you want, but they are set up already. And then the other thing is a workshop. What we've started doing lately is giving some sort of group activity that you can do to enhance your course or do as a bonus, or in some cases, even do as the lead magnet, a higher level lead magnet or even low ticket offer. In this case, it's a sustainability initiatives workshop. It can be group or individual, live or self-study. We mainly set it up to be live because we give you slides and some discussion points, but you can see here, I'll open up the facilitator instructions. The facilitator instructions and the facilitator version of the hypothetical scenario in here are in Word documents, but we give you the slides and the student workbook also in Canva if you want to use that. Open up the facilitator instructions. You can see there's 13 pages in here because we've outlined it to match up with the flow of the course and the slides. There are instructions on here on different ways to deliver it: live group, live individual, or self-study, and instructions for what you need to do to run this. And then there's the actual outline with some speaking notes. So you'll introduce the workshop, the structure, there's different notes because depending on how you deliver this, even if it's alongside the course, you'll want to review some of the things from the course. So environmental, social, economic. And going back a second, the whole point of this particular workshop is to give people practice in coming up with ideas for sustainable initiatives and planning that out and marketing those as part of their brand, but using a hypothesis so they have something to work with. And then they can go and apply it to their own business because they've developed skills. And if you can do it as a group, then they'll have that collaborative learning of getting ideas from other people as well and doing presentations and feedback. If you use something like Zoom that has breakout rooms, so you can do it as groups that way, or just send people off to work individually and then come back together in the group to discuss what they've learned and their different ideas. It doesn't have to be a complicated workshop at all, group or individual. And even they can do self-study and send back and use something like a Facebook group to discuss answers. There are instructions in there for the whole thing. It's probably around 2 hours, depending on how many groups you have, how many people are in the group, because if it's individual, it's going to take a little bit longer for each person to ask questions. Some people never want to participate, but they still learn from listening to others. And as I said, there's also Canva templates in here. The activity, I'll open this up. There's slides and student books. The slides look like this. Again, you'd use the template. They're already designed. So sustainability practices, all of that. And then there's the workbook as well, already designed in Canva for you. So you can easily go in and work with that and make it pretty however you want to use it. Let's go back now to our slides. And I want you to show you some tips for rebranding the course materials and tailoring it. Now, you've seen already that a lot of these materials are just ready to go, very plain. So if I go back into, say, the Word document, so I'll open up the course book. The first thing would be documents. If you have a theme set up already, you can use that in the design tab and you set that up. Otherwise, usually there are some themes and stuff you can do. Otherwise, you can just change the logo, delete the one that's there, put in your own, and then add colors and fonts. We have a rebranding checklist that you can use for that. The other thing that you want to rebrand are the slides. And if we go into the instructor materials, you're going to open up those slides again. And it's the same concept. You change the logo at the front and you can apply your own design. So that logo, you would just delete, and then you can go into design and either create a custom design or use one of the built-in ones. You can also put this into Canva and design it there. And I'll show you that in a second also. There is a spreadsheet as well. So that is in the student materials, in the action guide. Spreadsheets are a little bit different in terms of branding because you do need to give them to people in a format where they can edit them. So you can't just put it into a PDF or they won't be able to use it as a spreadsheet. You can see it's pretty simple, but you can just add an image in there. You will want to add your own logo in there, but you can also save that once you've done edits as Excel template. And what that'll do is every time somebody opens it, when you give them the template, they have to save it as something different. That's one way to make that a little bit more protected. You don't want them using the original one. And you can also upload that to something like Sheet. So Google Sheets in your Drive, in your Google Drive. And it'll look like this, same sort of thing. And you can save it as Google Sheets. And then when you have that set, you can share a link to it so that and share it as a view only link so that any changes you make in the future, they'll also see. You would just click on share and you would leave yourself access, but then you can make anyone with the link and make sure it's only viewer so they can't edit it, and copy the link and give your people that. So if you're in a course platform, you'll just put that as something that they can do. That's in Google Sheets. And Canva is the other thing I mentioned for rebranding. We give you some things in Canva, but you can put stuff into Canva. So if I go to the home page in Canva, you can put in something like the assessment. You can put in the slides. So just by going to the slides, let's open that up, find the file. Rather than using Power, if you prefer Canva, you just drag and drop that into Canva right on the home page. It'll upload it as a Canva presentation. You would then open that up and you can see I'm able to do this pretty quickly. Now, things won't necessarily be in the right spots. I would want to delete my logo, move things around, but it's plain that I can go into design and go into layout and play with the layout of any of these slides. It'll give me suggestions. There are a lot of slides though, so you don't want to spend a ton of time on this. Just go for some key slides and maybe replace some images. You can just pick something, replace the current page, add your logo. It's started giving image ideas as well now. You can play with that also, like that for a slide. Also change your colors. If you go into styles, I have my branding color I can apply, but you can also look at combinations. It'll load up different things here. I could try that and see how that looks and then apply it to all pages. Or I could change the fonts, for instance, and have that apply to all pages. So definitely think about using that Canva as well if you don't like PowerPoint. I think it's better. It gives some more options than PowerPoint. And then you can present and record your slides right from there, right from inside Canva. You can do that with documents as well, loading them into Canva, but you need to convert them to a PDF. You can take something like this self-assessment, and when you have any kind of Word document, once it's open, doing, you just go into File, Save As, or Export. You can also do an save on your computer. I've actually already done that, so I'm not going to do it again, but I'm going to show you it and how that works. Here's the PDF. I would first go to the home page in Canva, which is here. You always go to home, and then I would take that PDF and drag and drop it onto the home page in Canva. Took it, dragged, and there it goes. Make sure it's actually uploading. Okay, I dragged and dropped that there, and then I can open it up and it's all there, and you just have to take a look at it and do any kind of editing. So you can do things like add a background to it, change the design. Now, if you decide you want to add a background, when it's different pages like this, you have to add it to each one individually. That's why I don't like putting in something like an entire action guide or an entire course book. Things like that just require too much work in Canva to design them. And you can't put the whole thing in, or it doesn't necessarily break up all the pages well. You can't put in a Word document, for instance, or because it doesn't break up the pages. But here I could add a background. I could change color scheme again. So let's go into design and styles and maybe apply my colors. It doesn't really do it much here. There isn't much to do, but I can go in and apply a background. Let's do into elements and go into background and say there's a simple background here. I would then make sure that this covers the whole page, right? I'm going all the way down, making sure that the whole page. And then since I want it as a background, you need to do the position. So there's a thing that says position here and make sure it's straight to the back. And I can also edit it. So you can edit and add some color texture to that. So maybe a fresco look. What else could we do on this? Maybe make that a little bit more transparent. It's not so dark. And then again, make sure it's positioned at the back. Now the font is still kind of light. So maybe I want to put it as a straight black and then change it all. So you can play around with that, play with the styles, look at things in here where you can change the style and change the fonts to other things and then play with that. That's how you would use Canva for slides or for something like a shorter document that you want to design. Here's that one where I did do some branding on it. I put that background in. You can add a little element by going to elements. I put a little graphic there. I put my logo in and did some different colors. That's the one I showed you before. So lots of different things you can do there. Now, there are a couple other things I'll show you when it comes to tailoring the content to your audience or to just to sound like you. The things that you want to do are title, any kind of terminology. So if there's coaches versus consultants, customers versus clients, little things like that, resources, examples. As I went through those slides, I pointed out there are different examples there, but based on who your target audience is, you can change those. Resources, I mentioned that too. If you're in a certain local area, you would want to point people to resources in their area for their local government or different things that make sense for that audience. The title is something you can easily get some ideas on if you just use one of the Gemini tools. I plugged that into 3 different tools to show you how that would work. I took that one that's already there. The current title is Sustainable Business Practices. Subtitle is How to Build a Profitable, Eco-Friendly, Social Responsible Brand. And I said, provide 10 ideas for alternate titles and subtitles for my course on sustainable business practices, which is for small business owners. So if you're doing it for someone else, you put in who that audience is. And it came up with a bunch of different things: green growth strategies, build a profitable, eco-conscious, and responsible brand. responsible business models, sustainable success, green business mastery. Don't use them as is, but you get ideas and you can kind of mix and match. So that was Chat GPT. I put it into Claude, the exact same prompt, and got some different ones. For some reason, they don't put it on 2 lines like ChatGPT does, but got green entrepreneurship, grow your small business with sustainable strategies, eco smart business, practical sustainability for thriving small enterprises. So there they put the audience in. Lots of different ideas you can get. You don't have to just pull it out of thin air. And same with Gemini. I paid for each of these so that I could show you that Jeff can get a lot more from a paid version. I just did a video recently that you'll see on the YouTube channel that shows how the different ones compare. You just need to pick one, whichever one is your favorite in terms of the replies you get. So in Gemini, we've got green to gold, sustainable profits for small businesses, beyond greenwashing. I don't actually like any of these. I thought Claude and ChatGPT were better. I haven't had great luck with Gemini, but they're evolving. They're getting better. And just for fun of it, I use AI because that's one that a lot of people love. One of my customers just came back to me and said they think it's better than anything else. I plugged in the same thing. I actually got results that are very similar to GPT, but Perplexity uses more than one model. This is a free version, so you can still get quite a lot. In the Pro version, I think you can choose from the different models. So that's one idea for getting the title. That's the customization and branding. Now, to finish things up here, let me just quickly go through some different ways you can use the course and the materials in your business to grow your business. The first one is to actually build your audience using the lead generation materials. You have that freebie in there, and you can do something like a single page, like here's our free 5-day challenge kit, and it's a resource on its own page. You could do the same thing with that assessment. And we actually have a resources menu item on the website with a variety of freebies. That's one way to build your audience, just with the single thing, maybe putting it into a blog post. You can also have a series of freebies. So on our free PLR page, there's one section which is just on free resources. You could have a selection of different ones that people can opt into. Another way to build your audience, always have some follow-up emails for nurturing that audience. And then the other thing is to use it as a paid course. So for example, you can do a course platform like New Zenler, where you have multiple courses. They're all paid. We actually have one that's free, our 5-day challenge, but you can have paid ones that people actually enroll in. And you would just use the lead magnet, or if you already have an engaged list, you could send them directly to that. Here's one example of a paid course. This is Amy Porterfield's website where she has multiple courses. Remember that you can do multiple courses. Start with one on whether it's sustainability or something else, and then gradually add more. As you build an audience, they're going to want to buy and enroll in more of your courses. So you can see how she's put them on one page there. That's something you can do too. It's a great way to really scale a business, and you can have your entire business as courses. Membership site. Here's one example from Copyblogger. So Copyblogger has an academy, the Copyblogger Academy, and it's a flat price per year, really cheap actually, because it's all self-study stuff. And then they're also doing master classes. But if you add more coaching and other things in, you can charge a higher price for that. Just show you an example inside a membership site. Here I belong to the AI Success Club, where it's a yearly price or lifetime. They started out with monthly, because with membership sites, you might want to start out monthly and then scale up so that you can ensure you have that revenue coming in. But in this type of thing, they do monthly workshops. You can use your course materials, your PLR, brandable courses, and use that to build your membership site so that you always have content you can add. And then the next thing I talked about was client resources. You could create a whole client resources page so that your paid clients get access to the training materials that you put together. So you don't have to be charging for these courses. You can just be creating a page like we have here, a page. These are all free, but you could make this an access just for paying clients. So I will share this page with you, but it's just barks.com/training. And I gradually add to it. And then the final thing I wanted to mention was you can use them as one-to-one consulting tools. So something like that lead magnet, the audit doesn't have to be a lead magnet. You could just use it to work one-on-one with clients to help them get started with sustainability. And that's all the main stuff I wanted to show you. There is an early bird deal if you're interested in getting this course, which I really think should be part of your arsenal of courses on helping audiences. It's come out as one of the top needs right now for small businesses in 2024. If you grab the early bird deal, and I'll put the URL in here, you will get 67% off the regular price. So it's normally $297. You pay only $97. That's the lowest we ever do. You save $200. There's the bonus list of resources, something I haven't shown you that. I will show it to you now. And that comes in a Word document and Canva. Let me open up the Canva for you so you can see it. It is, one second, I'll bring it over here so you can see. You would again use the template or new design, and then it's already designed for you. What this is a list of resources, global, US and European Union and UK, and then Australia. And then you could just customize this if you have a different location, but this is a nice general set of resources that works as a great lead magnet or bonus, and then you would just update it. So that's something you only get if you get the early bird offer right now, which ends August 14th. So we only offer it for a few days. So make sure you grab that. And then again, here is the URL. You don't need the banner because it's on the slide, but it's contentsparks.com/sustainable. And that is only available for a few days with the early bird price. So that's everything. Definitely you want to take a look at this. This is a topic that has been at the top of needs for small business owners in pretty much every article that I've seen, every bit of research I've seen, it tops out in the first few topics that small business owners are looking for and looking to learn about, not just because it's becoming legal requirements, but also because consumers, customers, clients are looking for that. They appreciate that. You get a whole new segment of customers, and even your current customers are starting to look for that, appreciate it. It sets you apart. It enhances your brand, makes you a socially responsible brand that people want to do work with and want to continue to do work with because they will stay loyal to you. And it reflects your values as well. So grab your license and let me know what you think of the course. I hope you enjoy it and put it to work for you right away. Take care now.